I'm covering the election today.
Great.
Are you guys on the permit? Did they get a permit and so you're on that for the assignment?
What are we talking about?
Traffic issues.
For traffic? So do they get a permit and pay for that?
We're not. That's not our test.
So, but is this regular? It's not regular assignment, right?
We're regularly assigned to motors.
But I'm just saying, on Sunday, I'm going to pull permit papers. I'm covering how we do elections and permits. And
You gotta talk to the guys with gold on. I don't know how that works.
What is
tell
guys
us to come
with?
to work and we come to work.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to refer you to the PIO.
Yeah.
Talk to you about this question. We don't have that.
We got nothing to do with that.
I'm Susan Bassey, and you guys are on my YouTube channel today.
This is Susan Bassey. As mainstream media focuses on our national presidential elections, I'm going to take you on an investigation through the eyes of 3 local nurses and how their First Amendment rights affect our law enforcement agencies in our communities. We're going to begin on this freeway overpass in Los Gatos, California.
The fact that he opened benefits to all military personnel, and I'm a strong military family supporter, and I believe anybody who served our country needs to have equal medical, and I know the VA sometimes back up, and this way they can see any physicians or nurses to get their health care needs met.
And what she told me off camera was that despite any political views that she has from time to time, she is above all a nurse, and she cares for people equally, regardless of their political positions or the jobs that they do in life.
And doing
everything that he's promised.
everything, and helping out the veterans with the administration.
And when I passed through downtown San Jose on this Sunday before an election, there was a Bernie Sanders rally at the local convention center.
Greatest travesties of this century, and Bernie voted against that war even when it was unpopular.
And when I stepped inside that rally for a moment, I couldn't help but notice that there was a woman holding a sign supporting Bernie and noting that the National Nurses United Association was supporting him as well.
Hey, come on, Joe. Pull. I cannot assault you. Why are you going to
You're going to jail.
In this election, I thought of your comments on the video that I posted about a nurse who was arrested in Santa Clara County and prosecuted by the local district attorney. And when she sued the police officers for excessive force, she was represented by James McManus, and she only received $40,000 in that case, when others similarly situated received 10 times more. And James McManus, with his associate Ann Ravel, made hundreds of thousands of dollars representing Aaron Persky in the 2018 recall election.
In 4 weeks, voters will decide whether Judge Aaron Persky will stay on the bench. The recall movement follows a firestorm of criticism of Persky's 6-month sentence for former Stanford student Brock Turner for sexual assaults. This is Turner being released from jail after serving 3 months in September of 2016.
And it was through a public records request that we were able to reveal that Stanford law professor Michelle Dauber, along with private lawyers and government lawyers, was able to manipulate mainstream media and public opinion in order to alter the course of the local elections. And that resulted in the recall of a single judge, and it drew away transparency and accountability for the other judges who sat on the bench at the time, and it resulted in the re-election of the district attorney. A district attorney who has refused to prosecute police officers in this county for the 10 years since he has been elected to office, and a district attorney who has used a false narrative in the media in order to convict innocent people and in order to misuse his office for his own political advantage.
Prosecuting her or interrupting her prostitute. You've heard about that case?
No, but that was in the Charlize Theron movie.
where the police arrested her or brought her into the car and then made her perform favors so that they wouldn't take her to jail. Right. Well, that actually went on in the Bay Area, and it was found out after one of the police officers committed suicide and left a note, and it opened the internal affairs investigation. And so when SB 1421 came out, this was all exposed, and the police officers' names, who was involved, what was going on. But the most troubling to me was when it came out was that our victim witness services under our district attorneys, they helped get the woman out of state. So she would not testify against the police officers. So during the investigation, victim services, and I have the email from an SB 1421, they helped get her out of state. We also know that the people from victim services who were district attorney employees were the ones who are engaged in an improper sexual relationship themselves, and this is now before the county. So this is the...
Our involvement in this case first began in May of this year, May of 2016. And that's when the Oakland Police Department and the Alameda County District Attorney's Office investigators came to our office and presented us evidence that they had obtained from interviews with Ms. Abuzlin.
And at the time the district attorney in that county was making those statements, the two employees in the district attorney's office in Santa Clara County were involved in an affair. And they were the ones that moved the victim off to Florida in order to secret her from prosecution of the police officers.
Because the public has been interested in how Ms. Abuzlin happened to travel to Florida. We were contacted by the Richmond Police Department in June of 2016, and they asked us, because we coordinate victim witness services, and Shannon Mahoney, the head of that department, is here today. They contacted us and asked us to process the paperwork with the state agency to allow Ms. Abuzlin to travel to the state of Florida for treatment. We processed the paperwork. It was her desire to go to Florida. As perhaps you know, or as you should know, at some point she decided not to go and communicated that to the police.
And this is how mainstream media and government officials mislead the public, because the fact was revealed in this public record that the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office and members of their Victim Services Unit moved that victim out of the state in August of 2016 in order to secret that witness and prevent her from testifying against the police officers.
This has been well publicized in the papers, on news programs, starting in July 6th, that she had decided to go and did in fact go to Florida. And that was known to virtually everyone that was following this story since July of 2006. I have a quote that I want to make sure it gets correct, so I'll quote it again. It's a quote in the papers I'm giving to you or have given to you, and I also want to say it again. Quote, "Due to Ms. Abuzlin's ongoing privacy rights, we're limited as to what we can reveal concerning her travel to Florida. However, it's abundantly clear there was no scheme by any police agency nor by any other organization to secrete Ms. Abuzlin out of California in order to hinder any local investigation or prosecution." Can't emphasize that enough.
Mr. Peterson, what do you say about the charges?
Mr. Peterson, are you going to be held accountable for your crimes? Mr. Peterson.
You should resign, Mark Peterson.
Resign.
You've had enough corruption.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to say a few words about Richmond and the connection with this guy here, the bum, sometimes known as D.A. Peterson, and how these stories began to crack his facade. And it's mostly responsible because of women in Richmond. The first woman to stand up that I've seen in 40 plus years against the corruption at Richmond City Hall was a woman named Stacy Plummer. And Stacy Plummer blew the whistle on the assistant personnel manager. And they turned the tables on her and tried to drive her out, but she wouldn't be driven out, and she fought back. Ultimately, she got rid of, or they got rid of, the assistant personnel manager. plus she got a settlement because after they got rid of her, they attacked Stacy. The next person that made a difference was a woman named Harris, Amy Harris. And she's the one that broke the story about what was going on at the public housing hacienda, which was basically a run-down, rat-infested, vermin, and old people suffering under this. Nobody in Richmond would talk about it. None of the city officials would talk about it. The hacienda was less than 1 mile away from City Hall. And this had been going on for more than 1 year, possibly 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer. When Amy Harris wrote her articles in that, the mayor, Tom Butt, attacked her, accused her of yellow journalism, blamed the tenants of the hacienda. Well, eventually, they had to close it down and find new housing for these people. Third person, the third woman that had a major impact on Richmond politics was Pamela Price, because this DA ran a deal with the Richmond PD to send the main witness against 19 police officers and dozens more in the East Bay and even one in San Francisco. The DA sent Guap, Miss Celeste Guap, down to Florida. And in Florida, she was never going to come back to Richmond because they put her in a situation where within 2 days she was in jail looking at a $300,000 bond for biting an attendant and never even breaking that attendant's skin. But nobody was going to do anything about it, including Burrs, who went on TV, the attorney Burrs. He talked about it but didn't do a damn thing. This woman here, Pamela Price, had the ovaries to get on a plane and go down there and get her out of jail. And believe me, that takes guts, because it was in a backwater town in Florida that she had to go to get her out of there, and the fix was in.
It was the persistence of citizen journalists, activists, and whistleblowers that pressured the Attorney General to indict the district attorney in that county with 13 felonies. But the smoking gun connecting the district attorney in Santa Clara County to the scandal was this email that was not revealed until 2019. And after we found that 2 of the employees involved in that email and in trafficking the victim out of state were involved in an improper sexual relationship that resulted in both of their divorces, we discovered that one of those divorces ended up before Judge James Towery and the other before a private judge. Sunday, March 1st, and one of the people who's doing some research work constantly on James Towery sent me this and was upset that he had noted that he had already won an election that is still 2 days away. He was appointed in November of 2012, and we're going to show you what James Towery has done to people while he's been a family court judge. And last week I had the opportunity to meet this critical care nurse, who is perhaps one of the most remarkable individuals I have ever met. By night, she works the graveyard shift, tending for the most critically ill people in her community. And then she hopped on a plane and came out to Santa Clara County after she learned of a case involving sexual assault and rape and the family courts. And she is so driven by this case that she is knocking on every door of mainstream media, of activists, and politicians and elected officials. And I have a hunch she's not going to stop until there is justice in this case, and until the Santa Clara County District Attorney and those who supported him are removed from public office and sent to prison for what they've done to the people in this community.
Back in Massachusetts, where I lived prior to moving, there was a lot of corrupt practices in the district attorney's office, and the community was paying attention, and people were starting to notice that the guy just wasn't doing his job. And then, somehow some other guy got appointed, and he also was you know, not worthy of having the title of being a district attorney. We were done with the corruption, done with all of the behind the scenes favoritism, brown nosing, ass kissing, all of that stuff that should not come to somebody in that kind of position.
Your son wrote?
Yeah, my son wrote this letter, but unfortunately, I saw this on a journal on his notebook. Like, he have a notebook journal from school, and he wrote this for Maurice Bisted. But when I gave the notebook to Maurice Bisted, this was used against me in family court. I do not know how and why, but...
Corrigan, could you read that out loud for me?
It says, I am Ian. I am 11 years old. I want to spend Christmas with my family this coming Christmas, but Jason never let me see my family. Even when my grandpa died last year, I really wanted to be with my family, but Jason won't let me go. Please don't let Jason control me like his prisoner. I want to be able to travel with my mom. I also want to go to school near my mom, because whenever I am at Jason's, I am hungry. My mom brings me lunch to my school all the time. Thanks. Signed by Ian.
And Ian had a minors council, correct?
Yes.
And did the minors council see this letter?
Yes.
And the minors council used it to claim that mom forced him to write this.
Yeah, and instead of the minors council actually siding with my son on whatever he wanted to say, this was used against me in family court.
Do you know if the minors council ever reported this as abuse?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did they say you were alienating your child?
Yes, that's what the word that they always used is the mother alienating my son.
Alienating your son from someone who's not his father.
Right.
Who is Julian's father?
Julius Gabutan. Julian Gabutan is my son's name, and Julius Gabutan is his father's.
So Ian is named after his father.
Yeah.
Does Ian's father want him home?
Yes, he desperately for years and years now wanted to see Ian and continue communicating with Ian, and he sent cards and money gifts for Ian on birthdays and Christmas, things like that.
For a certain period of time.
And this is the senator and his staff in California who knew well what was going on in the family courts and the criminal justice system. He is terming out this year, and there are several people running for his position, including Ann Ravel from Los Gatos, who I've interviewed many times and who has accepted the endorsement of the district attorney, as she has taken a hard line on protecting the county, as she is a former county counsel and she is a government lawyer. And Ann Ravel is well aware of the conduct of the district attorney and the police officers in Los Gatos and throughout Santa Clara County, because she has been the county counsel, and it was her job to make sure that lawsuits were never successful and that taxpayers never knew about the conduct of their local business. Because Ann Ravel has been involved in lawsuits to secret public records and to secret police misconduct. And she also is protecting the district attorney, who failed to prosecute one of the most horrific rape and sexual assault cases involving an immigrant that lived on this street in Los Gatos, California, where Ann Ravel also lives. So to all the nurses, teachers, police officers, and government workers who stand up to do the right thing and who want transparency and accountability in our law enforcement agencies and our local government, this year when you vote, be sure you vote with the First Amendment in mind.
Working for the San Jose Police Department in 2016, Officer Jonathan Silva severely beat a man in the library during an arrest. It left the man with broken ribs and a collapsed lung. An independent investigation found that Silva used excessive force, and the university promptly fired him. But he appealed and got back his badge, only to later resign. Now he's working for the Los Gatos Police Department, and residents there are calling for his hiring to be put under scrutiny.
I see a uniform, I see safety. I see a uniform, it stands for something. And if behind that uniform is someone who is hurting another human unjustly, I have a problem with it.
For now, the town manager is releasing only a statement saying, in part, quote, "For all officers, there is a thorough background investigation."